In the dense jungles where the borders of Burma, Thailand, and Laos intersect lies the notorious Golden Triangle. For decades, it was the epicenter of one of the world's largest opium and heroin production zones. Behind this shadowy empire stood a man whose name has become synonymous with the ruthless narcotics trade, Khun Sa, known to many simply as the Opium King. This is the untold story of Khun Sa, how a single warlord built an empire of drugs, secrecy, and violence that reshaped the global heroin market and left a lasting impact on Southeast Asia and beyond. The story begins in the early 20th century, with a young man born in 1924 in Burma's Shan state. Khun Sa, whose birth name was Chiang Kai-fu, was of mixed Chinese and Shan descent. From these humble, turbulent beginnings, he would rise to become the most feared and powerful drug lord the region, and perhaps the world, has ever seen. But to fully understand Khun Sa's empire, we must first understand the phenomenon that allowed it to flourish. The Golden Triangle, comprising the mountainous border regions, offered both a strategic location and natural cover for illicit activities. The isolated terrain was perfect for growing opium poppies, and the fragmented political frontiers provided shelter from any central authority intent on shutting down the trade. Khun Sa's ascent began in the chaos of post-World War II Southeast Asia, as colonial powers retreated and new nations struggled to maintain control. He started as a simple trader, quickly gaining reputation for his ruthless tactics and ability to navigate shifting political landscapes. His crowning move was uniting disparate Shan militias and opium producers into a formidable coalition, known as the Shan United Army. Under his command, the group controlled vast swaths of territory, enforcing strict discipline on farmers who grew poppies under his watch. By the 1960s and 70s, Khun Sa's empire was flourishing with little opposition. His operations didn't just stop at production, they spanned transportation, distribution, and enforcement across borders. He cultivated ties with corrupt officials and exploited the Cold War's ideological battles, positioning himself as both a rebel fighting Burmese government forces and a trafficker controlling a multi-billion-dollar heroin pipeline. His reign was marked by a brutal calculus, elimination of rivals, intimidation of local populations, and a willingness to engage in violent skirmishes with national armies. Yet even as armies and police forces fought against him, the drug flow only intensified, devastating communities across Asia, Europe, and the United States. However, this shadow empire's operations were not without contradictions. Despite widespread reports and crackdowns, Khun Sa frequently denied allegations of drug trafficking, branding himself as a freedom fighter. His public persona was shrouded in layers of propaganda and denial, often dismissing accusations as politically motivated lies designed to weaken the Shan independence movement. These denials complicated efforts to dismantle his empire and allowed various governments to turn a blind eye when politically convenient. Was this the manipulation of a cunning warlord, or a reflection of the murky interplay between narcotics, politics, and power? Evidence documenting Khun Sa's activity is extensive and chilling. Seized shipments from numerous police busts revealed heroin quantities large enough to flood international markets. Insider testimonies from former associates and defectors outline operational methods ranging from poppy cultivation and refining techniques to clandestine airstrips and bribed law enforcement. Investigations uncovered a hierarchical structure that mimicked a corporate drug syndicate, complete with distribution networks stretching from rural hillsides to urban centers worldwide. The human toll was staggering. Addiction, violence, and corruption fueled by the profits of his empire, touching countless lives and destabilizing governments. Khun Sa's story is also a chapter in Cold War history. His alliances and conflicts were often shaped by global superpower rivalry, with the United States, China, and Southeast Asian governments deploying their own interests in the region. Some evidence suggests covert relationships with intelligence agencies using him as a pawn against communists, blurring lines between criminal enterprise and geopolitical strategy. The Golden Triangle's opium trade was intertwined with these shadow wars, complicating efforts to fully expose or eradicate Khun Sa's influence. In 1996, after decades evading capture and wage war, Khun Sa surrendered to the Burmese government. He was placed under house arrest, his empire fragmented, yet his legacy remains alive in the continuing challenges Southeast Asia faces with drug trafficking and insurgent groups. The untold story of Khun Sa is a stark reminder of how one man's ambition, mixed with the chaos of political